All right, this is probably gonna be the last update before we actually go race. So I'm gonna start underneath the car and kind of go over more what I did. So new springs, the shocks got rebuilt. I haven't done this yet, but I'm actually gonna get new brake caliper mounts because when you step on the rear brakes, they feel squishy. And when I called the guy who's gonna set up my car, he said that it's these flimsy brackets. They're all bent and they're just, the bolts are stripped out of them. Well, the slide pins were got threads in, they're stripped, and someone had spacers in it when I got the car. Just a mess. So getting new ones. It's actually Watco rear ends. He does a lot of rear ends around here. So I'm ordering the brakes caliper mounts off of him. Gonna do that. New axle bearings, new seals. I didn't touch the diff in this one. I am rebuilding the spare to have all new control arm bushings. These are factory control arms. I didn't replace those because they seem fairly straight. Probably should have just bought the complete ones off Speedway because it's kind of a mess, but it's all 1/2-inch bolts now. So I drilled out all these mounts. Then I welded washers. Well, I just tacked them in just for a little extra support because these are really flimsy. I mean, you can hear it. Just pressing them in, they're folding every which way. They're not great. I don't understand how they hold together on a dirt car, but that's the new stuff. You can see up here, 1/2-inch bolts. I mean, it's probably not very exciting to you guys. I didn't have to shorten my drive shaft, even though if you watch my videos, that bell housing's an inch longer than the Chevy one. So that's good. I was worried about that. But I still got like 1/2-inch. I took the shocks out of the back and the springs. I just set it down on the tires and just fully maxed out, and I still had 1/2 inch up there. So that's good. It's not a very long slip yoke, so I don't know how the Chevy one was staying in there without snapping off the output. But it might snap now, who knows? But as far as that, then just wiring, this is like an old TIG welding sheath. I just zip tied it because I had to route it differently. I routed it up there because on the Chevy, they had what's it called? The starter solenoid mounted on there, ran to a starter solenoid on the starter. I don't know what the point of that is. It seems like another place to fail because you're running two regular solenoids. So I got it ran over there, through there, and then it's all marked or covered up where it rubs. These right here, they had 2 little bolts with Chevy emblems on there. So we got rid of those. You know, that's just a problem. Just waiting for some destruction on that. I had to add, I think, 3 or 4 of those shims for the hydraulic slave. I had that all out measured. This is the 3rd time I've changed the transmission. I put the one on it that I had in it last year, which would put me at like 6,800 RPM if I made the same horsepower as the Chevy. And then the other one I put in, I don't remember, but it was still too high for my liking. And then, so this is my lowest gear ratio. Well, yeah, lowest. This is a 168 second gear. So, and I run a 355 in the back. But yeah, so there's that. I'll put all the things up that show like wheel speed and then RPM with the different transmission gear ratios if I remember. Got my pretty Kevco pan on there. Well, I'll drop it down and I'll show you guys that later, the engine stuff. But these calipers are good. I mean, the right front shut off, it doesn't do anything, but new QA1 ball joints. Front shocks rebuilt again, new springs up front, blah, blah, blah. The radiator's raised, so the fan actually covers the whole thing from where it was. I kind of screwed myself a little bit with this, like, J-looking bar. You see it better there. But you can see it puts this kind of in a bind. This is 18 inches and 1 3/4 inlet and outlet, I believe. Remember off the top of my head, right? But yeah, it's kind of twisted up. I think it'll flow all right. If I order another radiator, probably gonna get it straight and then I can come through here and then it should pop out over there, hopefully. That's my thought process anyways, because the Mopar, it kicks back on the water pump. So there's that. And then up here, nothing new. I believe this is a sweet box. It came with the car. I didn't buy it. And all this stuff feels tight up here, so I just greased it. Everything looks pretty straight. But yeah, So there's the bottom of the car. All right, starting at the back of the car. So you'll watch to the end to see the good stuff, the actual stuff you probably came to watch, the engine stuff. But that's just bumper. I got like one race. When I blew my car up, I put this race on and I backed it into a tire because I spun out all by myself like a fool. But I just put a gusset in there this time and straightened it out the best I could. You can see it's a little wonky still. So I got half a tank in it now. That's what the guy's setting it up. It's pretty dirty. The guy's setting up one half a tank. So I got 20 gallons and every gallon I stuck a stick down in there and measured it. So I got to get like an actual dipstick that's easy to read because I just had a metal rod and it was a pain. But so now I know by measuring it how much fuel's in the car. Last year I had no idea and I didn't even think about using fuel as like a tuning tool. So usually I'd just fill it up and just dump it in or be like, oh, I should have enough. You know how it goes when you're alerted. So I know that now. I had to get a little breather. The breather snapped off the top of it. So I got that at AutoZone, nothing special. My door just sitting on the lift arm. That's good for it. Nothing in here. I mean, just a bunch of brake fluid all over the floor. You know how that goes. Make a mess. But yeah, my fuel pressure wasn't reading with that new Edelbrock pump, which I was like pissed because it's only like 4 PSI. But it's supposed to have a bunch of, not a bunch. It's like the highest rated small block Mopar mechanical fuel pump you can get that mounts to the block. And it's only like 4 PSI, so I'm like, what the hell? And then I took the fuel line off that goes to the gauge. I'm like, looked pretty nasty in there. So I took it, blew it apart, and I guess it's starting to deteriorate inside, so I should probably replace it, but I haven't yet. So that's why I cleaned it out. Now it's showing 9 PSI. So little much, but it might be something to do with that hose again. It's just holding pressure on that backside. It's catching it in there. We'll find out. But in the last video I showed, I got a MSD soft touch in it for an HEI. I still want to solder all these connections instead of the butt connectors back there, the wiring, and clean that up. It's kind of a mess. But Davis ignition, yeah. Then the engine. So these are Davis wires. I don't remember what type of carburetor this is. It's a Holley 4412, but whoever does their special touch, you know, to it, whatever. This is an 1.25" outlet, so I gotta get a special radiator hose for that to replace this one. This one works, it's just, it was on there in the car and it's getting pretty soft, so it's probably due to blow anytime. I kept the thermostat bypass hose on there. I had to get this is 235. The one that was in there was 255. I don't know why you'd want it to get that hot. But these are just some eBay valve covers that I welded pretty poorly, as you can see. Just some tubes on it. I blame this material. I don't know what the hell it is, but it did not weld good. I'm not that bad of a welder, I promise you. But yeah. And then just some little eBay chrome breathers with the shields. AutoZone starter, that's a Speedway mid plate. And then these are the 587 heads on my last video oh, and I forgot to put in that video that the seats, they didn't like bull hog the seats. So you can, like the air is gonna catch on the backside of the seat. The seat protrudes into the bowl. So there's definitely some improvement on these heads. So whenever I pull them off, I can definitely do that whenever I get a bull hog. But 360 block, it's an 87 block. It's decked, Icon forged pistons, Eco rods, Eco crank, cast crank. It's got a Wares machine 2-barrel to 4-barrel adapter. You can slide it back and forth. So if I ever take it to the dyno, I can hopefully do that, get a little more out of it. Edelbrock intake, I think I said that. That's a factory water pump. Summit SFI approved balancer on it. KRC accessories, that's a Speedway like 4-blade GM style fan. It's a 17-inch. I could have went a little bigger, I feel like, but that one covers, it's all inside the radiator is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, so hopefully that keeps it cool. It's 1-to-1 on the water pump and crank. 1-wire alternator, well, it has 2 on it, ground and an actual power. I don't know why it needs a ground, it's mounted to that. But Schoenfeld headers. I cut the flange straps in between because they didn't line up You know, they didn't line up. Long story short, they didn't line up. They're junk. I've said it numerous times in my videos, but these things are junk. Especially for what you have to pay for them. I think they're like $460 or something I paid for them. I know it was 400 something. So yeah, I just cut them because they didn't line up. So there's that. It's a comp cam, it's 600 lift. I got 1.6 rockers in it. Let me see here. I don't know, I can put the cam card up. I'll take a picture of that, put it in the video. I don't know. It's got their 27 thou compressed thickness kinetic gaskets in it, Fred gaskets. The deck's cracked on this block. It's cracked all over. It goes into a bore on one of them. So I don't know how long it's gonna last, but put copper spray on the head gaskets and Moroso ceramic seal through that. Yeah, so I think that's about it. If you have any questions, let me know. We had to put some spacers on this radiator mount. I'll show you that fuel pump real quick. Oh, there's all new ball joints up front. I don't know if I mentioned that. But this is the radiator that I had in the car. Luckily that hose still worked because I kept that thermostat housing. And I had run the spacer because the Mopar doesn't have a place to put that temperature reading probe. They had dual hose clamps on the lowers too, so I should probably do that. I don't know if I'll end up doing it because I'm lazy. But yeah, I just got a Mopar filter from the auto parts store. Probably should have something a little better. I don't know. It's an oil filter. It's not like it's on there for thousands of miles with grit running in it. So, I mean, you change your oil pretty frequently in the dirt car, so I feel like it's not that big of a deal, but maybe I'm wrong on that. But yeah, that's that rock fuel pump that I'm running. I got it because it uses the bigger outlets, and I already had these fittings and these lines and stuff, and I didn't want to change it, so I just found one that was that. And it has really good flow. I think it's 140 gallons per hour, I want to say. I think, which I'm pretty sure it's like the best one for a small block Mopar, as I was saying earlier. But yeah, it's got a little screen in front of the radiator. I think that's it. I know I said probably a million times and I'm all over the place. But moral of the story is Schoenfield headers, junk. This block, junk. And hopefully it holds together.